I need NOS. I need NOS. Neri, I need it by tonight.
Welcome back, you guys. Another episode of NOS. Today, we're gonna go pick up something that might be a little bit of a surprise to you guys, because we're gonna potentially get rid of both of these cars, which have always been a dream car of mine, especially the Lamborghini, but just can't really afford them anymore, to be honest. There's no point in having two cars, two supercars that is, and they don't get driven enough. And for what I want to use these cars for is really hooning the crap out of them, beating them up, and even just the tires alone are $1,000 a corner type thing. So you get one day out on track, or one day doing burnouts, drifting events, anything, just playing with them hard, and it's costing me a ton of money. So I found a car that I think is going to be a really good build series, so just stay tuned. We're going to go on a road trip here. Just got the truck and trailer loaded up. And it's going to be kind of sketchy, as the car might not fit on the trailer, so we're going to have to maybe take the ramp off the back and block up the front end to get some of the car hanging over the front, some hanging off the back, strap it down real good, and hope for the best. So stay tuned, this could get interesting real fast. But yeah, might be getting rid of both of these cars, if not both, at least one out of these cars. What would you guys like to see gone? Comment below. You want to see the Lamborghini Gallardo still here? Or do you want to see the Corvette stick around? Or which one do you want to see gone? I'm going to have to sell at least one of them. If not, I might get rid of both of them and trade them in for one car, but that's another episode in the future. I know it's been a minute since I've posted. Just busy with work and trying to get rid of the sport bike that used to be here. I did the giveaway with the NOS clothing, but that didn't really pan out how I wanted it to. Didn't get the traction, get off the ground. So we're just going to focus on some cool videos, and we're going to do a build series on the car that I'm about to go pick up. Hopefully, I'm going to go look at it anyway and see if it's even worth getting. The kid is doesn't seem to know a whole lot about the car, and I'm just going to go have a good look at it first, make sure everything's good and it's a good platform to start with. So we'll go from there. We're going to get in the truck and yeah, get the show on the road, take a little road trip out to Chase, and go check out this car. So stay tuned if you want to find out what this car is. Yeah, the question is going to be, can we fit a 14, 15 foot almost car on a 12 foot deck? It's gonna be sketchy. Let's find out. Well, slight change of plans. That 240 was super janky and not very good, so we found another one, but it's like 4 hours away. Another weekend, another 240 to go look at. So got a U-Haul this time and make it a little safer since it's such a long trip, but hopefully this one's good. This one's got much better options anyway and looks to be in much better shape, so let's see how it goes. Get on the road. But first, a quick fuel stop. There she is, the new Project Drift build. Got her home. The new project build. Let's get this thing started up off the trailer, and then we'll go over it. But I think I'm gonna have to crawl in through the hatch because I can't open the door all the way. This thing starts. Not quite. Definitely needs a good tune and a few little adjustments, but we'll get to that. Alright, so we got her in the shop. Needs a little bit of interior love, but fairly stock. Has all the seats, some gauges, standalone, so that's a preview of what's yet to come. Aftermarket shifter, a bunch of spare parts. Need some work on the hatch, some plastics to the back, but all in all pretty good. But here's where the real score is for this car that we're gonna finish up and make look real good. We got SR20 built manly rods, aftermarket pistons, polished crank, Garrett GT 3076 redone by HKS turbo, 850cc injectors, ready blow-off valve. We got the screamer pipe. We also have aftermarket reservoirs and air oil separator. Cool little purple bits on the valve cover. Front mount intercooler, aftermarket radiator, battery relocate. Pretty much everything's done to this thing. It just needs to tune and some of the wiring finished. The power steering needs to be hooked up because this thing's a nightmare to turn at a standstill. And it's got meat and coilovers, so lots yet to come. Finally got this thing home. I'm super happy. Dug into it a lot further. There's definitely a lot of little things left in the engine bay that need to be done. This ignition control module wire that was ran by the last tuner did a really terrible job. It's super long. They basically ran it from this side of the engine all the way across the back of the firewall to the module, then into the floorboards or into the dash on the driver's side, then all the way above through the dash and over to the ECU on the passenger side. Doesn't make any sense. The wires come out right here. Ignition control module can be right there on the passenger side. So rather than running it all the way around, you can go in with the main wiring harness in through the passenger side directly to the ECU. So we've pulled that out, fished it through. I got to rewire that. I've already started digging into a bunch of these little issues, and I compiled a list of things that need to be done. So those will be all future episodes, but I'll kind of run through all those with you. But for now, what I've done is I got to get this wiring cleaned up. It had no power steering either. So we got a belt on there, got that all tightened up, finished some lines up that were disconnected because it does have an aftermarket Chase Days power steering reservoir and lines and all that. I had to get a special fitting to go into the actual power steering rack. I did try to start it up. It is working, but it's real notchy and there was a lot of air in the system, so I still got to work on getting the air out of the system. So that'll be one thing I'm going to be doing today. Another thing is it has a stock fuel pressure regulator right here, and this thing, honestly, it kind of runs like dog shit, so we're going to get that off there. I'm thinking it's a fueling issue. I looked at the fuel trims. I hooked up the laptop, got it all tied into the EMU original. I thought it was an EMU Black, but it's not. It's original, super old, so we're probably going to have to change that ECU out, unfortunately, to get it tuned. I did talk to the tuner yesterday, and that's what they're going to want, is something a little more modern so we can do all the things that we want to do to this car. However, I just want to get it running okay at this point, and the fuel trims are all out of whack. It's idle, surging, and hunting really badly. It goes from like 12 to 1 to 17 to 1, then back to stoish, and then it's all over the place. So I'm thinking it's going to be a fuel pressure problem. So we're going to get an aftermarket adjustable fuel pressure regulator installed today and get that wiring cleaned up, get all these hoses ran because there's no hoses to, let's switch around here, to the catch can. So let's flip the camera. Alright, so to the catch can, we got to run those fittings. I don't know if this drain needs a plug or not, but we're going to try and plug that. But basically, we got to go from this fitting. We're going to run one line, the PCV, directly to here, and then we got to run another one around the back. There's the crank vent down there, and then there's this T here on the valve cover. So we're going to cap the one side, basically run a fitting from here. We got to go pick up a T, so we're going to go this T to another T from the lower vent, and then run it all the way around with the 10AN fitting into there. So that should be pulling out this half of the engine. This one will pull out that half of the engine, cap that off, clean this wiring up, get the power steering properly bled, and fuel pressure regulator on. So we got some parts here. We got the fuel pressure regulator that we're going to be putting on, some new fuel line, all the AN fittings for that. We got our adapter piece that I'm hoping will work to go into the PCV. We'll remove that one and hopefully thread this one in, because the one on the car now is a British pipe thread, and I can't seem to find a 3/8 British pipe thread to 10AN fitting so that we can run from there to there. So this is a 3/8 NPT. I've heard it can work because the pitch is off just slightly, so we might throw some thread tape on there and purposely cross-threaded a bit to get it in there because I can't think of any other way at the moment. I can't figure out a way to go from that 3/8 hose to a 5/8 hose, and then we're running 5/8 hose everywhere else over to here. That'll all work out fine down to that tube you can see in there. So tee that off, bring it all the way around, fuel line, go from here back to there, get this ignition control module mounted to that firewall back there as well, and rewire it in. This is all real scabby. Get rid of about 20 feet of wiring here, and then adjust our mount our adjustable fuel pressure regulator on the back there as well. So that has to all get done, and then we should be able to fire this thing up and hopefully get it running okay for the time being until we can get it to the tune, which will be probably in the next episode or so. But we've also started tearing apart the interior because there's a ton of wiring mess in here as well, and just feeding everything out of there and out of the doors and in the back. Pulled the back seats out, which will be going back in, but pulled the back seats out because there's so much wiring. I guess this guy before had subwoofer addiction or something, but it's all done kind of half-assed and just excess wires everywhere. So we got to get all of that cleaned up, and we're going to build a custom floor for the trunk, mount the battery properly because that wasn't done. Everything's just kind of sketchy and scabby, but other than that, I mean, the car itself is super clean, and it's going to be a good platform to build off of. So there's another thing we got to change out. This I find is super scabby and sketchy and just not nice, where we got a nice 3-inch on that side, we only got 2-inch on this side. And this Garrett GT30 Turbo by HKS, I want it to have 3-inch on both sides, and then I want to run a proper filter at some point into this pocket down here, work that. Maybe we got to roll the turbo down, I don't know. We'll get into that at a later date, but for now, let's get the fuel lines on, get the catch can all dialed in so that everything is tidied up and cleaned up in the engine bay. We did the heater cores as well. That was just looped with this sketchy hose, so there was no heat in the car. So we ran that. I'll go through that with you guys in a minute here. I've already filmed that. But then, other things we need to do. I've compiled the list here, so give me a second. We'll run through what this car is going to be at the end of the day. All right, so my to-do list is plumb the catch can, bleed the power steering. We just talked about that. Tidy the wiring and put in a wiring loom to hide all the stuff that is ugly and just cut off, or the vacuum lines and everything that runs along the back. We want to tidy all that up. Replace the hot pipe on the intercooler, the hot side there. Figure out the cold air intake pipe, which we just talked about as well. We're going to dye the carpets on the inside to be black. We're going to place the shifter to a different one. Got that one already figured out and sorted out as well. And install the fuel pressure regulator and adapter. Got to get it on the dyno tune, which will be coming up. Talked to the tuning place yesterday, so we got a plan moving forward. I'm going to change out the dash lights. So we're going to have a different color of LED bulbs in the dash, maybe get some covers for that as well, just make it a little more modern. I had that done on my last S13 240, and I really loved the gauges until they stopped working, but that's a whole other problem. We're going to be getting a body kit for this thing, full body kit, front, rear, side skirts, everything. Put a big wing on it as well. Then we're going to wrap the entire thing. I got a color in mind, so stay tuned for that. I got a whole theme planned for this, but we'll get to that. You'll have to just wait and see, so follow along. Taillights, it does have aftermarket taillights already, but they're that real ricey, cheap kind of look, so we're going to get some tinted ones or something. We're going to do this whole build kind of not cheap side, but just everyday Joe could do type thing. So not the cheapest, but not the most expensive parts, kind of middle of the road. If you've seen any of the Donut Media stuff, they do the high-low. And every time they're like, I feel like somewhere in the middle, we're going to take some of this is better product, some of this is on the cheaper side and it works better, yada, yada, yada. So we're going to kind of pick and choose what's going to be the best thing, but still being budget friendly. Same thing goes for the interior. We're going to put some seats in it, but I want it to keep it street and trackable. So we're not going to do a full racing seat, full racing harness that's not drivable on the street or not comfortable, or nobody else can fit in it with no sliders. So we're going to have sliders, reclinability, all that stuff, but have much more modern, much nicer looking, and much more comfortable seats. So that's something we got to do. Probably get some LED headlights for this thing. We're going to be swapping to a 5-lug hub. So we're going to do a complete hub conversion to 5-lug. That way we can fit the wheels that I want to buy, because they only come in 5-lug. So we're going to get 5-bolt, all that, and we're going to do a big brake kit, do a quick release steering wheel, aftermarket steering wheel, adapters, quick release, all that. We're going to build the trunk out, like I said. We're probably going to build the custom sub box for the trunk. We're going to put a hydro handbrake in it and a angle kit as well, a new deck for the stereo, put some lighting and glow and all that sort of stuff, and that should be pretty much it. That'll get us looking good, sounding good, and making lots of power, and from there we can just keep going and customizing. So stay tuned if you want to follow along, follow the build. We'll see what kind of numbers we get on the dyno in the next couple episodes here once we get this thing all tidied up and over to the dyno shop. I'll give you a little update in a few minutes here once I get some of this wiring and hosing ran. A little trip to the parts store in the Lambo. Had a few fittings we need to get. Alright, well, it's been a day, damn near dark outside, but we got the engine bay all cleaned up, got all the wiring shortened and ran properly and tucked and tidied and everything like that. All the lines for the catch can run, all the AN fittings, the fuel pressure regulators installed, and all the fuel lines are ran and tucked underneath the manifold. I got a temporary kind of fuel line for the return at the moment because I need to get a special fitting to go from a hard line to an AN fitting, so I'm going to get that set up so then there shouldn't be any rubber lines, so if we want to run E85 in the future then we can do that. But let's have a look and let's see how much extra junk we pulled out of here and how much tidier it is now than it was at the beginning of the day. So this is all the extra wiring that we pulled out that ran all the way around the engine bay and into the inside and then around again, plus same thing with vacuum lines that didn't need to go all the way around, and then vacuum lines that were teed off on this side, and then 2 lines would run over there rather than just the one. So yeah, it didn't make sense. Ran 1 line then tee it off over there to go to both things that it needs to go to. So as you can see, we got our AN lines ran for the catch can. So we go from here to a T that goes down to that and then runs over there. We were able to use the 3/8 MPT instead of British thread. It is a little cross thread feeling in there, but not too bad. Then to our 10AN over there, so that's all tidied up, and this rat's nest that was in there is no longer. We got our fuel pressure regulator installed, adapter set up here, so then we can go from the fuel rail to the AN lines underneath, and it pops out over to there. Our vacuum line's all tidied up. So from where it was to where it is, so much tidier. See if we can get it to focus here. Much less junk hiding in there. Painted up this bracket that holds the throttle cable on. No more big mess that it was back there. Painted those pieces as well to be black so it kind of blends in that hold the brake line. Move the line that goes for the brake booster down below so that it's not sitting up there being all ugly. So that whole section that was full of junk is now all cleaned up. Got the valve cover all cleaned up. This is temporary. Again, we're going to get something nicer for that, but got that on. A lot of wiring cleaned up. Again, same thing in this corner where it was just a rat's nest is now all tidied up. We have heat. We have power steering. We have our catch can. We have our fan wire that was ran all the way around and around and around and around and back, all tidied up and over to here. This corner is still a mess. Still need to figure out what to do with all that junk. But other than that, everything else is looking like $1,000,000. So from before to now, need a couple zip ties, but I didn't have any that were black, and I didn't want to use white ones that were going to look terrible and be able to see them. Just a few little things in there to zip tie together and just clean some more things up. But she's coming together. I think we're ready to fire this thing up and adjust the throttle or the fueling and all that, and we should be able to get this thing off to a dyno right away here. Let's fire it up. Well, the laptop's got a critically low battery and I didn't bring the charger, so we won't be doing any sort of tuning, but I already messed with it a little bit to set the injectors correctly, so we'll see if it idles a bit better. Before it was idle hunting like crazy. It was running super rich, then super lean, then super rich. Now I kind of have it just running rich, which is fine because it's break-in mode. We still got the old ECU, that we're gonna have to clean up all of that wiring in there and tidy everything up, and there's a bunch more at my feet. This thing is honestly just a rat's nest, but let's fire it up and see how she goes. Well, it's idling much better than it did. Oh yeah. Oh, now it's gonna start jumping around probably. But no, it is pretty alright. Now it's slowly getting richer for whatever reason. So yeah, needs a tune, definitely. But all in all, she's running good. Fire's right up. Everything's looking nice and tidy. Let's go back outside and have a look. Everything's looking good, no fuel leaks. Out of here now, so that's working. Give her a rev here. Alright, so that's it for today's episode. Got everything tidied up, ready to go to the dyno, so everything should be good. And yeah, stay tuned for the build series that we're going to be doing on this thing. Follow along. It's going to see how much horsepower we can get out of this thing and how clean we can get it, because these 240s are hard to find clean and well done that aren't just drift missiled out. Stick around if you want to be a part of like a medium expensive cheap build. It's going to tidy this thing up and make it worth some dollars. We got about a $25,000 budget in total, because that's what these things are worth at the end of the day. So we're going to see if we can pull that off. I picked this thing up for $9 grand with the built motor, so can't beat that. I'm going to try and get it done for 25, so we're not losing any money, and this thing should be pretty mint by the time we dump another 15, 16 grand into it. So yeah, see you on the next episode. Don't forget to follow along. If you want any merch, check out shopnos.ca. We got everything discounted right now because we have no giveaways. So hit the store, hit the website, pick up some merch, follow along, hit that subscribe and like, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.